And we're back.
Welcome to episode 2 of our podcast that we
Still,
haven't named yet.
Still not named, man. We got to get a name for this thing. Well, I don't know. We're going to talk it over. I got some friends that want to come on, and so maybe they can give us some tips and stuff like that.
We talked about that. I thought one of them was coming on today. I was prepared for that earlier.
Talking about Cody?
Yeah.
No, Cody's going to come on closer right before UFC 200. He wants to talk then. But anyway, guys, so the first podcast, I got some good feedback on it. It didn't break the internet on amount of views and stuff like that, but it got more than I thought it would, and I got some feedback from some friends and family, and they liked it. Now, I went back and listened to some of it. It's not the highest quality. I will assure you guys, though, this Friday, whenever I get paid, I will be going out and purchasing a mic. Possibly two, just have to, look at some prices and stuff like that, but definitely going to get a mic so we don't have to record off of this shotgun mic right here anymore. So we'll have better quality sound probably next week. With that being said, I was happy with the first one. Cole, you?
I thought it went well. I certainly didn't go back and listen to it though. I don't.
No, I mean, it's the same thing with my Tiger TV stuff, man. I go back and I watch it once, a little bit, but I'm real critical of myself sometimes, and I mean, but I really thought that we did a good job on our first podcast. Like I said, I didn't go back and listen to it, but. With that being said,
I will go back and listen to it after we put a few more out so that I can be critical of myself, because I'm sure that there's some nervous tics that I have that I don't realize that are probably annoying if you're listening to this audibly, like if I smack my lips or if I drum my fingers on the table, which I know that I do.
Anyway, yeah, man, I mean, if you want to do that, go ahead and do it, but I think we did all right for the first episode. But on to this. So, first things first, I got two things I want to talk about real quick. Number one, Cleveland Cavaliers. You are the 2016 NBA champions. Congratulations. You came back from a 3-1 deficit and won the NBA championship. No team's ever done that. Led by LeBron James. Cole, I know you're not the biggest NBA fan, but you know who LeBron James is. He really doesn't have anything else to prove to anybody else. Any critic, any sports writer, he started his career off in Cleveland, then went to Miami, kind of sold his soul to the devil when he went to Miami, per se. Some people say that. But he won 2 championships there, so then people stopped talking about, LeBron may be the greatest player to ever win an NBA championship. Then he goes back to Cleveland. Will LeBron bring Cleveland a championship? Will he do it? Because Cleveland has, up until Sunday night, was one of the worst sports towns in history. I mean, you're an NFL fan.
I can attest to
Cleveland Browns.
I can attest to the atrocity that is the Cleveland Browns at times.
I mean, man, even the MLB, Cleveland Indians, just not that good. But LeBron came back to Cleveland, came back to his hometown, got them a title. So, in my opinion, the guy, you can talk about all you want with the guy, but I know some people don't like him. He's a great player, and he has nothing else to prove to anybody else. Now he's still going to play for a very long time, I think, but he can just chill and relax and just have fun and play the game, and maybe he'll become an even better player. But Sunday night, it was a great game, and Golden State Warriors put up a great fight, but in the end, Cleveland Cavs took it home. So Cleveland, congratulations. Second thing I want to hit on real quick. I was flipping back and forth from the NBA championship to my WWE Network subscription and watching the pay-per-view Money in the Bank. And on that pay-per-view at the end, the lunatic French, Dean Ambrose, won his first WWE Heavyweight Championship. Ambrose, my friend, it's been a long time coming. You're a hard worker, and everybody loves you, and you deserve the title. So take this and run with it. And Money in the Bank, man, was a great show. John Cena and AJ Styles had a terrific match. Ambrose walked away with the title. Speak to Ambrose a little bit. I know you're not an avid fan like I am, but you know a little bit of what he is. What do you think of his character? Being a guy that doesn't watch WWE or Raw every Monday night, is it kind of like whenever this guy comes on and you catch it in the living room, you sit and you have to say, listen to what he says at first because he's crazy a character?
What he says isn't really what it does what does it for me with Dean Ambrose. I can't really. Like I say, I'm not really a fan. But when you see Ambrose, he's got another character of his own. He's strange. He runs out there with blue jeans and boots, and
he's not wearing wrestling tights. Huh?
No, not at all.
Nah, man. Ambrose is he's a good worker and a damn interesting character, and I'm gonna really looking forward to how this storyline and stuff plays out with him for the rest of the summer, because he's kind of like the poor man Stone Cold Steve Austin for every WWE fan out there. And if you're a WWE fan, you know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is. So that's who I kind of compare him to a little bit. But we're going to move on now. We're going to be talking some UFC later on in the podcast. It's really going to be the meat of the podcast today. But, well, let me preface by saying this. You watched the fights this weekend.
I did, yes. I actually recorded them and watched them with my grandfather for Father's Day early that morning.
Awesome, yeah. I mean, what a great time to spend Father's Day with your grandpa and watching fights, man.
Especially some of the fights that were on Fight Night '89.
Give us a little tease about, just
they had some really fantastic matchups on this card.
I didn't get to watch, but
well, unfortunately, we didn't get to record any of the preliminary fights. Okay. Especially the ones on Fight Pass, which are so hard to get because Fight Pass has rolling blackouts in our area.
Yeah.
But the prelims were actually on Fox Sports 2, so we recorded, and the main card was on Fox Sports 1, so we actually recorded NASCAR instead on accident.
Right.
But we did get the main card. So we picked it up with the women's fight. Are we starting this now, or did you want to wait?
No, we're going to get to this in a second. I got two things.
Then let me just say it was a fantastic card, and there were some really heavy hitters on this card.
That's what you told me, man. I'm going to let you take the lead on that when we get to that, because unfortunately I didn't get to watch this Saturday. My cousin had an engagement party, and I was there, so I didn't get to watch the fights. But I'm going to let you take control of that and lead that and tell us all about what happened this past weekend. But I want to talk about two more things before we start on that. And the first is WAFB, which is a Channel 9. I mean, everybody that's listening to this is probably going to know this. Channel 9, Baton Rouge area. They had Paul Gates, who was a longtime anchor, longtime lead investigative reporter for them, died this afternoon due to complications of Alzheimer's. Just a sad thing, because I mean, Paul Gates was a great investigative reporter, man, and I mean, he really was, and not everybody who he investigated liked him, but he was just hands on. I mean, there's actually a clip that I watched a package that WAFB did on him not too long ago, and it was really well done and really kind of sad though, because like I said, the guy had Alzheimer's. He actually announced in 2011 on the air that he was going to be retiring due to Alzheimer's. And so a little while back, I don't know if it was a year or a year and a half or however long ago, but they caught back up with him. Donna Britt, who was a longtime co-worker of his, went and sat down with him, and they did about a nice 5-minute package with him to see where he was at. And it was really sad because he didn't even know who she was, and he had lost a lot of weight, and his wife was on there kind of doing a lot of the talking. And at one point, he even looked at what the camera, the camera they were filming, he even looked at the camera and asked his wife, what is one of those things? And for a guy who's, been around cameras and news business and all his life, it's just really humbling to see. But so it was kind of sad. But the video is also pretty uplifting, and I think everybody should watch it. I tweeted the link to the video out around lunchtime today. I'll retweet that whenever I get on when we get done with the podcast. So everybody should go watch it. He was there with his grandson, and it was just, it was kind of sad, but it had some good uplifting moments. And they say he died peacefully. I haven't really got to watch the news or anything, so maybe he died in his sleep or something like that, which is the most peaceful way you can go. So Paul Gates, man, you were great to the Baton Rouge area. You were great on WAFB, and a lot of people are going to be sad by this, but you lived a heck of a life. Man, Alzheimer's, Cole, is just a horrible disease.
It is. It's a terrible thing.
I mean, when I get old like that age, man, just, if you have to, I don't want Alzheimer's. Just to forget who you are, forget everybody you've known for the rest of your life, it has to be really, really a bad feeling. Really, really horrible. But we're going to move on, and next thing I want to talk about is something some of you may have heard about. So let me set up the story for you about this. Alabama offensive tackle, he was a 5-star recruit coming out and really was probably the best player on their offensive line, Cam Robinson. He is, if I am correct, he is a Louisiana native. Well, a while back ago, Cam and another one of his Alabama teammates were arrested in Monroe, Louisiana for hanging out in a parking lot late at night. They had weed on them. They also had 2 handguns, one of which was stolen.
Nice.
Yeah. Regardless of what you think about
guys,
anything.
You're in Alabama, so like, it's not. You're probably fine with a little weed. You're definitely fine with a handgun, but man, a stolen one. What are you doing? What are you thinking?
Well, they were actually arrested in Monroe, Louisiana.
Oh, excuse me.
No, but they are Alabama players.
Well, still.
Right. One of which is one of the best players on the team. He was star recruit, and yeah. LSU heavily recruited him. I guess you do remember watching this past year. Road grading everyone, but
that's bad.
Okay, so that happened a little while ago, a couple months or whatever, and you didn't really hear anything about it else because there was really no other news to report on until yesterday. And I'm reading from the internet right here. It's an article, and basically the DA in Monroe, his name is Jerry Jones, go figure, he decided that he's not going to try these guys, which is kind of crazy. And his quote right here says the reason he's not doing it, and I quote, this is exactly from the article, I've heard this on Matt Moscona's radio too, this is exactly what he said. I want to emphasize once again that the main reason I'm doing this is that I refuse to ruin the lives of 2 young men who have spent their adolescence and their teenage years working and sweating while we were all at home in the air conditioning.
I wouldn't say that we were all home in the air conditioning, but I do sort of appreciate what he's doing here.
Okay,
I appreciate that. I appreciate what he's doing here in the sense that, you see a lot of young men in this country who are incarcerated. And we can't. We just have too many people incarcerated now. I'm not saying these guys didn't do something wrong, but and you can't really prove that they had the intention of hurting anyone.
Okay,
but at the same time, I do realize that football players have a huge tendency to get off with some stuff that they definitely shouldn't have.
Okay, that the first thing you said was kind of a different spin.
I want to preface with that because that's I get what you're probably trying to spin this as, but in all honesty, he just doesn't want to put 2 football players in jail for a fantastic football team.
If that's okay, if that's really the case, basically, when I read that quote, what it's saying to me is that I just think that's a bullshit quote. I really do.
Yeah, it's not good.
I think that's basically what it should have said and come out and said that I'm not going to ruin these 2 young men's lives and try them. Personally, I don't think they would have went to jail or anything. They may have been kicked off the football team. I don't know. I bet Nick Saban is just.
He's probably
he's rubbing his fist at this.
He can't wait for him to get back home. Oh. They're gone.
Oh hell no, they're not gone. I can promise you.
Oh shit.
I can promise you. They will be. Those 2 players will be suiting up in August or September to play football, and that's fine. I am not the person.
You don't think at least there'll be some 1 or 2 game suspension in there?
Maybe.
Not even handed down by the NCAA.
Possibly, but to me, this quote and the reason he's saying
it's horrible.
The reason he's saying this is insulting, I believe.
I see a resignation in Jerry Jones' future. District Attorney Jerry Jones.
And I'm not here to place conspiracies and sit here and say Nick Saban paid DA Jerry Jones Monroe off or whatever. I'm not going to sit here and say that crap. So. It is what it is. But basically what he's saying is because these 2, and this is how I read it, because these 2 are two high-profile football players. We're not going to do anything with them. We're not going to press charges, even though they had a stolen gun in their vehicle. You know, the weed thing, I mean, whatever. You know, I mean, it's a little
the stolen gun is really what
right.
hurts you there.
So,
not what hurts you, but what are you doing with it? I'd like to know who they stole it from.
Okay, well, look, here's a video of him. I didn't see this. This is on a website, and let me read the website it's on real quick. So, AlabamaFootball.com. Okay. So this is the prosecutor right here. This is the district attorney. Here's what he had to say.
I want to emphasize once again, the main reason that I'm doing this is that I refuse to ruin the lives of two young men who have spent their adolescence and their teenage years working and sweating while we were all home under air conditioning. They did it. They've been successful. I wish them well in their future endeavors, and I do not think this should be a strike against them with anyone, including Alabama or their hometown of Monroe.
He's really starting to sound like an Alabama football fan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to sit here and be critical of this because we both go to LSU and Alabama's a big one.
I tried to put a positive spin on this,
right?
But this is bad, and I know that LSU has had some players who've had some discrepancies in the past
who have been rightly prosecuted, I might say.
Yeah, I can agree. I can get behind that. Yeah, I agree. But this is bad, guys. He's in possession of a stolen gun. I mean, I guess you could say, you know, you don't know. Maybe he didn't know the gun. One of them, you know, you can't prove which one had the gun. That's what the district attorney said. I think you could probably weasel it out of him, but I mean, good Lord, a stolen gun.
Like I said before, I'm not advocating to ruin these two guys' lives personally.
No, but I don't think that they should.
That's not an excuse for them to get away with stealing a gun.
I mean, they should
whatever.
do something to him.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, basically it's a BS. I don't know. There's not really much else to the story, besides what the DA said, that he's not going to prosecute him, and I just think he probably should have thought about it for a little while and thought of something better to say than that right there. But
I mean, Monroe's a big place. I don't know if you've ever been. So I mean, to be the district attorney of Monroe is kind of a that's a big deal. So I'm not sure how we landed at this answer.
No, I've never been and visit. I've been up to Monroe before, but I was younger and stuff like that. So I mean, so you explained to us. You probably have New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and then Lafayette maybe, and that's probably Shreveport maybe, and then Monroe.
I think it's New Orleans, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, but don't quote me on that.
Okay, but Monroe is a top 5 city or whatever, and
I can't rightly say. I mean, there might be a bigger city, but it's up there. Like, it's one of the larger ones
in Louisiana. Okay, so yeah, that if anything else comes of this, we'll keep y'all updated. But I don't know, it just kind of really rubs me the wrong way that basically the district attorney is saying he's going to let these guys go just because they're football players. But we're going to move on. So, Cole, you told me Sunday you and your grandpa sat down for Father's Day. He had recorded the fights, UFC Fight Night, MacDonald versus Thompson on Fox Sports 1 Saturday night. You guys watched it. I mean, just take us through that. What'd you see? What were the highlights? I mean, lead it on.
What I can tell you is, like I said, I did miss the prelims. So I started with the women's flyweight fight between JoJo Calderwood and Valerie, and I apologize for this. She's a fine Canadian girl, but I can't pronounce her last name.
I can't either. So,
and she fought. Let me tell you about this fight. Actually, now that it's starting to come back to me, so it really wasn't too bad of a fight. JoJo Calderwood is a fantastic martial artist. She's a striker.
Let me ask you a question before you get big into it. Is this the division that Joanne? This is not strawweight, right? So they don't have. Who's their champion? It's not the Joanna Jurtsewick. She's not the champion, right?
Johanna. I can only say her first name.
That's her?
Johanna. She is, I believe she is the strawweight champion.
Okay.
And then the women's bantamweight champion is Miesha Tate.
Right, well, that's the one with Ronda Rousey and all that.
And honestly, I don't know who the women's flyweight champion is.
Let's look that up real quick.
UFC.
I didn't even know they had that weight class, man. To be honest with you. Excuse us for the dead air, guys.
Okay, so the strawweight, so that's the... Wow, it's saying... So on the page that I have pulled up...
They don't have a champion yet.
It says this is kind of... I started to say this a second ago, and I still have a great potential to be wrong, but I think that they just added a women's weight class because there was too much space between strawweight and bantamweight.
So that's the one in between.
They've added... I believe so. Now, that might not be right either. They may have wanted to add a heavier or a lighter weight class. I just know that they wanted to add another weight class.
Well, flyweight for men is the one where Conor McGregor is
the lightest.
It's 145, right?
Flyweight is 120.
No, that's Demetrius Johnson.
That's Demetrius Johnson's title.
I'm thinking of featherweight.
So featherweight, Conor McGregor is still the champion, it says here on this site, and I believe that is 145 pounds.
For the men. So flyweight would have to be 115 or something like that.
Well, I don't think it's the same for women. Now, actually, I think no, it should be the same because bantamweight, Dominic Cruz and Miesha Tate are the same weight.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So back to the fight.
Back to the fight, though. Now that we went through all the
okay. Sorry for that. So it was actually it was a good fight to watch. JoJo was a great striker. She kicked Miss Valerie in the face at one point, and these fantastic Reebok uniforms that the UFC has so graciously supplied everyone with.
Yeah.
Her foot came down from her jaw and took her top off. Whew. And now you didn't see anything, mind you. She covered up pretty quickly.
It was some Janet
but
Jackson
when she
Super Bowl stuff.
No, I mean, no. It didn't even. It just her foot got stuck in it.
Right.
And so she covered up very quickly. But the problem I'm trying to point out here is that if they had been allowed to wear whatever
they wanted to wear,
uniforms they wanted to wear, like they were right before they had this Reebok deal, you probably wouldn't have them trying on their uniform for the first time.
Explain for the listeners what was the action with the Reebok.
The UFC used to allow their fighters to have logos on their shorts, promotionals. Right. Basically, the same thing you see in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Sell a Fig Newton sticker on your
car.
How they
make more money.
Right. It's sponsorship. It's how they make more money. I was fishing for that word. I couldn't think of it. And well, basically, somebody in the UFC started raising a big stink that so many guys were being sponsored by Condom Depot. Now that's what they said. But really, they just wanted the deal that they've signed with Reebok, where Reebok is the sole sponsor of any UFC fighters. So they wear Reebok gear to all UFC events, and in exchange for small fighting bonuses. And this is terrible for fighters.
Absolutely.
Look, I mean, I can't name anyone or anybody's figures off the top of my head, but some guys went from making $100,000 after a fight from their fights, from the salary or whatever, the fight bonus, their fight of the night bonus or whatever. They made the sponsorship. Extra. They would make over $100,000, and so they fall from there to making maybe $1,000, maybe $5,000 from this Reebok deal. It's terrible for young up and coming fighters who are already not being paid enough by the UFC.
We're going to move on to the next fight.
Sorry, I got into the
because I'm going to bounce off of that though. It's going to be interesting to see at UFC 200. Brock Lesnar's coming back, as we talked about at the last podcast, and Jimmy John's, the sandwich place, is a big sponsor of his. He even orchestrated a deal with Vince McMahon where he came back, where he had Jimmy John's. He has Jimmy John's on his wrestling shorts. He's the only guy in WWE, go figure, that is sponsored.
He's Brock Lesnar.
He's Brock Lesnar. So it was going to be interesting to see if he comes out whenever he fights in strictly Reebok gear, if he has that Jimmy John's, because Brock Lesnar kind of does whatever the hell he wants.
I hope Brock Lesnar comes out there with a Jimmy John's banner. I cannot stand
and some
this
sandwiches
Reebok
for the
thing.
crowd.
I'm not sure where the UFC was going with that. That's obviously undercutting their guys. It's almost as bad as this thing with the reporter that they banned for life. I mean, they're trying to. What are they trying to do? Run a mafia
more money
here?
It's more money for UFC. I think that's what it boils down to.
It is what it boils down to. But they're starting to taint their promotion with that. It's starting to make them look bad.
So what can you tell us about the next fight? Olivier Aubin Mercier. I'm sorry.
Okay, so his name is Olivier. Olivier Aubin Mercier, they were calling him.
Okay.
And honestly, I can't pronounce the name of the guy he fought, and
Tibble. It looks like that's his first name.
They were calling him Goutte on the.
Okay. Well, we'll call
on the fight. The announcers were, excuse me, but this fight was not very exciting.
Okay.
I watched it. It pretty much went the distance. 2 rounds. I mean, at 2 minutes and 28 seconds into the first round. Into the third round. Excuse me. Olivier finished him via rear naked choke. However, it was pretty uneventful once they did get to the ground. There was some not a whole lot of ground and pound, not a whole lot of real technical.
I don't know much about either one of those guys.
Well, they're two up and coming fighters for sure.
Which is good. Which these Fox Sports events that UFC does
are fantastic for this.
Are good for that. I mean, you have.
I don't mean to bash these two guys. They both came out here and fought. It wasn't
correct.
And that probably it wasn't a bad fight, and it probably would have been a little higher rated had they fought alongside anyone else. I mean, who could have known that this next fight, the light heavyweight between Steve Bossé and Sean O'Connell, was going to be the slugfest that it was?
And I didn't watch it. I'm going to try to get on YouTube or something and watch this fight because it's scored pretty closely. And
29-28, 29-28, and 29-27.
Right, it went the distance as well. So
I mean,
this was fight of the night.
I was going to say that. Yeah, they got a $50,000 bonuses for fight of the night, and I'm telling you, this was one of the best fights that I've seen in quite some time.
They beat the shit out of each other, huh?
It was a war, man. Those guys just stood in the pocket and banged.
So are these two guys up and coming guys in the light heavyweight division? Are they?
They are. They're two younger guys, but man, for them to come out there and put on a show like this, it says some fantastic things for this career.
And I didn't watch, I didn't watch. But this Fox Sports, this is why these Fox Sports fights are so good, because they give these. I mean, you have two pretty well-known fights at the top that are main event, co-main event, but the rest of these guys are younger, up-and-coming fighters that want to prove themselves to get in here and whoop somebody's ass, right?
I mean, you see some of that for sure. I mean, definitely one of my favorite guys to watch who fights on the undercards a lot of the time is Sean Jordan. He used to play ball here at LSU.
He can do a backflip. He's a big heavyweight, man.
Big heavyweight guy, cuts a backflip every time he wins.
Yeah, I remember him. He's pretty athletic for as big as he is, man.
Good,
Sean
man.
Jordan was a fullback here at LSU and has since moved on to the World MMA. And he's won a couple fights. He's lost a couple fights, but
still a fantastic fighter.
He's an athlete.
He is. I like to watch him fight. But let's get back to Steve Bossé and Sean O'Connell, because this fight was exciting.
Okay.
Early in the first round, Bossé gets rocked hard by Sean O'Connell, and goes completely rigid.
Kick, punch, knee, elbow, what?
From a punch.
Okay.
And goes completely rigid, and I thought that was it. I thought that was the walk-off home run, and he got right back up.
Wow.
And went the distance, and then fought the rest of the fight.
And ended up winning.
Ended up winning, yeah. But kind of towards the end of the second round, you kind of saw Sean O'Connell get gassed. But man, he has a chin of iron.
Got a mark on his chin, huh?
Both of these guys were just slugging each other. It was a bloodbath, and it was And at the end when they declared Bosse the winner, they shook hands. And,
right. So even though what you're saying is even though Sean O'Connell lost, you don't expect him to go anywhere. You think Dana White was
he's going to
impressed
be
with both guys.
Both of these guys. After the performance that they put up tonight, you're going to see both of these guys continue on. Bosse might have got the better of this fight, but I think, hopefully, what you'll see in the next couple of fights is O'Connell maybe get his cardio a little better. You could tell from the beginning that he wasn't in as good a shape as he could have been, but the way he came out swinging in the first round, I think maybe he was trying to finish it early because he knew Bosse had a little cardio on him. But two fantastic fighters, man. You're definitely going to continue to see them.
Good deal. I'll be sure to try to catch back up or see that fight somewhere. So, next fight is a well-known fighter, one of your favorites, Donald
One of my
Cerrone.
favorites, Donald Cowboy Cerrone and Patrick Cote. Now, Patrick Cote, not one of my all-time favorite fighters, but I will say this.
He returned. He fought in the UFC, then went somewhere else, and he came back in 2012. And it's kind of he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong, but he wins some, he loses some. But he's got a decent record at 23-10. I mean, he's got a winning record.
He's been fighting for a long time too. He made his UFC debut in 2004 against Tito Ortiz. It says here.
Yeah, that's right when UFC was getting big.
10 wins by knockout, 1 by But I'll say this. Patrick Cote pretty much got drove that whole fight.
Now, talk about Donald Cerrone in that he's a guy that seems like he fights every 2 months or something like that.
Well, actually, I think it was 2014. He said he was going to break the record and he was going to fight more times than anyone else. And
do you know what that is?
He said he wanted to fight 6 times that year.
Okay, which is a lot for a UFC.
Well,
guy.
yeah, you think, well, man, 6 big pay-per-view events a year, that's only one every 2 months. Like, that doesn't seem like that many fights. But when you think about how long your camp is supposed to be and how many and how you're supposed to prepare, how these guys prepare for their opponents, and then you couple with that, Donald Cerrone is running a ranch where he's training guys down in Arizona or Colorado.
He must stay ready to fit.
He's got to be ready to bang.
Yeah.
But
he was actually you basically said that Cote it wasn't a competitive fight. Cerrone dominated.
I don't want to say that it wasn't competitive.
Okay.
That probably wasn't the right thing for me to say. It was a good fight and it was an exciting fight. But in my opinion, I don't think Cerrone was ever in trouble of watching it. Now, I actually meant to preface with this. I only watch these fights one time. Usually if I have them recorded, I'll watch them once and then I'll watch them again later that night, and I might watch them 3 times.
Okay.
But this one, since I don't have it recorded here at my own place, I was only able to watch it once, so my memory is somewhat hazy of everything. But I don't remember a spot where Donald Cerrone was ever in trouble of losing, and he did end up finishing the fight via TKO by punches in the 3rd round. Okay, early in the 3rd round.
Yeah. Second period wasn't bad. Well, it was 2 minutes and 35 seconds into the 3rd round, so about halfway. But talk about Donald Cerrone and where does he go from here? He's a guy that he's never ascended to that title.
This was actually kind of a neat fight against Patrick Cote because he actually fought at welterweight.
Yeah, he kind of jumps around there a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Well, he's not jumping around. I think we saw Donald Cerrone fight at 155 pounds, and he fought RDA.
No, that's right. Rafael dos Anjos.
And
didn't go well for him.
I hate to say it, Donald Cerrone is one of my favorite fighters, but he whooped him like a bad kid. Yeah. It wasn't a fight. I mean, I don't want to say it wasn't a fight, but that Dos Anjos is a monster.
We'll actually be talking about him. He's the next fight night. Well, it's okay. So July 7th. That's going to be a Thursday night. We should watch that here. He's fighting. He's defending his title against Eddie Alvarez, Rafael dos Anjos.
Yeah, that's going to be a good fight to watch.
So that's Thursday night, and then you'll have John Jones. UFC 200 will be that Saturday. So yeah, Rafael dos Anjos is coming up fighting pretty soon, and we'll talk about him probably next week a lot. But where does Cerrone go from here?
I think from here, from there, from that loss to Dos Anjos,
right? Let's talk. Yeah.
You saw Cerrone move up to welterweight division and fight.
Okay. Which he had fought at before.
He has fought at before, and I think now he's going to try to go again. Now, after beating Patrick Cote, I don't really think that you need to jump straight to a title shot here. I don't think that the next thing you need to do is fight Robbie Lawler.
No. Could you possibly see him fighting somebody like, man, I would love to see him and Carlos Condit throw down. I think that would be a fantastic fight.
That would be a fantastic fight. I would buy that pay-per-view in a heartbeat.
I think that would be a good fight for Donald Cerrone and Carlos Condit because both of those guys float. They both flirt with title contention all the time. So that would be a fight that I would want to see, man. Just from looking at the other things, I mean. But let's move up because right above it you have another welterweight fight that was probably a number one contender fight between Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Rory MacDonald. Am I right or am I wrong in saying that?
Stephen Thompson and Rory MacDonald are both fantastic fighters. However, this fight that certainly wasn't going to win them fight of the night either. I mean, as you see, it went unanimous decision. It went 5-minute rounds.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
I'm not a fan of if it's not a title fight, 5-minute rounds.
I don't really understand why they do that either. Why does the main card need to be 5 rounds? And now,
no,
I mean, I get it.
If it's not a title fight, I really don't understand.
I really don't. I mean, I really can't think of a reason why you would want to see that happen.
No, I mean, maybe if it was a big super fight coming up, like. I know I keep talking about this, and there's no way this fight would last 5 rounds anyway. But Brock Lesnar and Mark Hunt is a super fight. Maybe that would be a 5-round fight, but that's not a title fight. But no disrespect to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Rory MacDonald, but they don't have the clout that a guy like Brock Lesnar, or Chuck Liddell, or not Tito Ortiz, but Randy Couture, somebody like that who you can just plug in and say it's a super fight. Something like that. I'm not really a fan of the 5-minute rounds if it's not a title fight, personally.
I definitely agree. And I also agree with you about Carlos Condit. I think that he's probably the best opponent for Cerrone. I think that both of those fighters stand to benefit from that fight.
I intrigued you a little bit with that
matchmaking
skill right
I'm
there.
Looking at it. I'm looking
at
it
Dana
now,
White?
and that's probably they probably already have that on the books. I would probably say.
Probably so. I think so. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, did he kind of dominate Rory MacDonald? Tell us a little bit about that fight.
If I'm being completely honest.
Be completely honest.
I will be 100% honest. My grandfather said that fight was so boring that he didn't even want to watch it again. And that was about the time my little cousin showed up and they turned on Tom and Jerry. So I didn't actually get to watch that one. But I did read on it, and they said basically what I told you. They weren't going to win any fight of the night bonuses.
Wasn't Stephen Wonderboy Thompson won, but it wasn't. He won by unanimous decision. But it wasn't anything impressive, which kind of surprises me because the last fight I saw him in, I forget who he defeated. We were here watching. Let me click on his name real quick. But
between work and some of the other things that
Johnny
I've
Hendricks.
To lately.
He TKO'd Johnny Hendricks.
I remember that. I was pretty upset about that because Johnny Hendricks, it's my boy.
And he got performance of the night. So, and before that, he KO'd Jake Ellenberger with a spinning hook kick and got performance of the night.
No joke.
I mean, the guy has. Let's see. He's been in UFC since 2012. It kind of flew under the radar, but.
They have a tendency to do that in this division. I think there's like 120 fighters
in the welterweight division.
That's what. Yeah.
Cole,
I doubt that many are active.
I didn't watch the fight. Okay, so I can't attest to this, and I like my idea of the Carlos Condit Donald Cerrone fight, but this Stephen Wonderboy Thompson's got a 13-1 record, man. Like, I don't see how you don't let him fight Robbie Lawler. Especially after he beat Rory MacDonald, who's no slouch.
Are you talking about...
Stephen Thompson has a 13-1 record.
Oh, yeah, no. He's about to fight Robbie Lawler, hands down. There's no way that's not going to happen.
Even though it might not be the most... I mean, well, man,
Golly. Robbie Lawler is 27-10. 11
I
and
didn't-
4.
I didn't-
11 and 4 in the UFC.
Okay, yeah, he's in his prime though. That guy, like he is.
He definitely is. He's an action.
I think that would be an intriguing fight because what's Robbie Lawler's? What's his height and weight? Or what's his height, I should say.
He is 5'11", 170 pounds.
Okay, so I mean he's got similar, but he's got a very different style from Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, right? Lawler's more of a ground and pound wrestler type, just gonna beat the crap out of you. Wonderboy Thompson's more of a finesse guy, right?
I apologize. I've been nodding my head through most of this. I gotta verbally say yes.
So Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, in your opinion, will fight Robbie Lawler?
I said that, but I think that they'll probably throw Thompson one more opponent before they move him to Lawler.
Okay, and we can't forget about this either. UFC 202, Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor are fighting at welterweight. Will that be sort of a number one contender, or is that just a catchweight fight that they're going to give McGregor?
I don't know. I definitely don't think that fight. Here's what I think about that fight. I think that at 170 pounds, that if Conor McGregor, I mean, just cold cocks Nate Diaz, I think you'll see him fight. Maybe. I certainly think you'll see him fight Wonderboy Thompson. And
whoever's the champion. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think that at 170 they might want to throw in one more fight before they throw him to Robbie Lawler.
I don't know.
Maybe,
the McGregor
maybe not.
yeah.
Maybe not.
What now? Whether he did.
I think that's what they should do.
Okay.
Now, granted, I'm also the same person who said that Conor McGregor needed to fight Nate Diaz before he fought Rafael dos Anjos,
right.
And I got my wish on that one. But
yeah. Well, we could talk about Conor McGregor for days, and we will in later podcasts.
We could, but what I think you'll see out of that fight is I think that you'll see Conor get a title shot. But I think if you see Nate win, I think that they might screw him, man. I don't think you may not see him go as far. I don't think he'll get a title shot out of it like Conor would. I would like to see him get it.
Conor's got a bunch of different things going on. He's still technically
Well, you've already seen
the featherweight
Robbie
champion. You have already seen Robbie Lawler and Nate Diaz, and what happened in that fight?
It wasn't good for Nate.
Yeah, I don't think it was, but
Robbie Lawler's a murderer.
He is.
And don't let me talk bad about Nate Diaz. I think the guy's hilarious, and he's a fantastic fighter.
He is.
In fantastic shape, eats clean, smokes a lot of weed.
So, but Conor McGregor, and we're going to end this pretty soon, but Conor McGregor is a guy that, talking about potential opponents for Robbie Lawler and just talking about the welterweight division at all, he's got several things going on. He's the featherweight champion at 145, was supposed to fight Rafael dos Anjos at 155, and now he's fighting Nate Diaz in welterweight at 170. I mean, he's still got a belt to defend when he goes back down to featherweight. He's all over the place, and he's great. He's great for the sport. I love the guy, but
I like him too because he's great for the sport, and I mean, he's a fun fighter to watch. But was there a question attached to that?
No, not really. Sorry, but gonna have.
I was gonna go off. No, I was gonna go off on another tangent, but I figured you probably didn't want me to ramble for another 20 minutes about potential matchups.
Yeah, let's not play matchmaker anymore. Well, I mean, I think that's gonna do it for this podcast episode.
I think so.
We talked about kind of a little bit everything. Touched on Cleveland Cavs, Dean Ambrose, Paul Gates dying, sad. The Alabama players thing is just still kind of bothering me. I don't know. It seems really fishy.
There's not much more I can say about it. I mean,
no, we'll stay updated on it. I don't think anything else is going to come of it. But
you try to look for the best in situations, but I mean, man, that's just not a good one, man. That is just.
It's not.
There's nothing good going on there.
No. So I think that's going to do it for the end of this podcast. Like I said, gonna try to buy a mic, get better quality sound. We'll put this one up soon and go from there.
I'll try to get a mic as well.
We'll see.
Unfortunately, I got to buy some fishing poles first because I dumped my cousins in the river on accident.
Cole had a little accident in Arkansas with his cousin's fishing poles. But that's going to do it for this episode. We are going to try to have future guests. I've had a couple people contact me about being on the show. One guy who I grew up around, he's a big MMA fan. He wants to come on here, and right before UFC 200, he wants to talk. I mean, there's 3 fight cards that weekend. It's the Rafael Dos Anjos Fight Night on Fox Sports 1 Thursday night. I think the current Ultimate Fighter season finale is that Friday night, and then of course UFC 200 is Saturday night, July 9th. So he told me he wants to come on here and talk about all those fights, and we're going to iron out all the details, but I think that we're going to do that in it'll be 2 weeks, because next week, it'll only be 1 more week until then. Next week is my birthday, by the way, so I'll be turning 21.
Going to the casino. About to win so much money.
Man, look, yeah, we're going to be able to buy all kinds of podcast equipment when I come back. But all right, guys, that's it for the day. Cole, you want to plug your Twitter account or anything, man?
No, man, I'm good.
You need to get on Twitter, man. I'm telling you, you need to get on Twitter. And get back on Twitter.
Look, I've got the thing. I got Twitter. I don't have time to look at it.
All right. Well, you guys can go follow me at Max Hawkins TTV. Get on my Instagram account. Same thing. We'll be in touch. And until next time.